Life sometimes teaches us through very small stories, not because they are complicated, but because they are simple enough to stay with us. A short story can give us a little wisdom, or at least it can offer a quiet moment of relief in the middle of a busy day. There is a story about Mark Twain and a proud woman. At a dinner party, Mark Twain was seated across from a woman. Out of courtesy, he said to her, "You are very beautiful." But the woman did not receive the compliment with gratitude. Instead, with a proud tone, she replied, "What a pity. I have no way to give you the same kind of compliment." Mark Twain remained calm. Then he said, "That is all right. You could do what I did. You can simply tell a lie." When the woman heard this, she was so embarrassed that she lowered her head. She had nothing left to say. And perhaps the small lesson is this: the stone you throw at someone else often becomes the stone you stumble over. When our words become sharp and unkind, sooner or later, we may be the ones who carry the shame of them. The second story is about a mouse that fell into a jar of rice. The jar was still half full. At first, the accident seemed like good fortune. The mouse looked around and saw no immediate danger, so it began to live inside the jar. It ate, then slept, then woke up and ate again. Day after day, the rice became its comfort. And because the comfort was so easy, the mouse did not leave. But slowly, the rice became less and less. By the time it was almost gone, the mouse finally tried to escape. Only then did it discover it could no longer jump out. Its strength was not enough. And this is worth noticing. Some situations look peaceful on the surface, but hidden inside them may be a quiet danger. Comfort can become a trap when we stop paying attention. So we need a steady view of life, one that knows how to enjoy safety, but also remembers to ask where the danger may be. The third story is about a rabbit who went fishing with carrots. On the first day, the rabbit caught nothing. On the second day, it went again, still nothing. On the third day, just as the rabbit arrived at the lake, a large fish suddenly jumped out of the water and shouted, "If you dare to use carrots as bait again, I will eat you." It sounds funny, but there is a quiet lesson inside it. What we give is often what we ourselves want to give, but that does not always mean it is what the other person needs. Sometimes, in the eyes of another person, our gift has no value at all. So before we offer help, love, advice, or kindness, we may need to pause and ask, is this truly for them, or is it only what I want to give? When we learn to consider another person's real needs, our own life becomes more meaningful too. The fourth story is about a cancer patient. A doctor once had to perform surgery on a patient with cancer. But after opening the patient up, he discovered that the inflamed area could not be removed. There was no way to complete the operation as planned, so he had to close the incision again. Then he went to explain the situation to the patient. The patient came from a rural area and did not understand medical language very well. After listening, he still believed the surgery had been completed and that he would recover. The doctor had no better way to explain it, so he allowed the patient to go home. 1 year later, the patient returned for a checkup, and to everyone's surprise, he had completely recovered. The cancer cells had disappeared. Of course, life is not always this simple, but the story points towards something gentle and true. A peaceful, hopeful state of mind can become a kind of medicine. Sometimes the heart has more influence over the body than we imagine. The fifth story is about a meeting that became a marriage. One day, a man was sitting in a cafe waiting for a friend. A young woman walked over and asked, "Are you the person Aunt Wong introduced me to for a blind date?" The man looked up, and in that moment, he realized that she was exactly the kind of person he liked. He thought to himself, if this is a mistake, maybe I should let the mistake continue. So he answered, "Yes, please sit down." Later, on the day they married, he told his wife the truth. She smiled and said, "I was not there for a blind date either. I only used that excuse because I wanted to talk to you." Perhaps a small lesson is this: when a real opportunity arrives, do not always hesitate until it disappears. Some connections come quietly, and when they do, we may need the courage to receive them. The sixth story is about a class beauty contest. A group of female students were voting publicly for the most beautiful girl in the class. There was one student named Xiao Mei. Her appearance was ordinary, but she stood up and said to everyone, "If you choose me, then a few years from now, when you're sitting with your husbands. You can proudly say, "When I was in college, I was even more beautiful than the class beauty." In the end, she was elected by an almost unanimous vote. The lesson is not about appearance. It is about understanding people, to persuade others to support you. You do not always need to prove that you are better than they are. Sometimes you only need to help them feel that, because of you, they become brighter too. When people feel seen, respected, and elevated, they're far more willing to stand beside you. The seventh story is about Gandhi and a pair of shoes. A train was moving quickly along the tracks. Gandhi accidentally dropped one of his new shoes out the window. Everyone nearby felt sorry for him, but suddenly, Gandhi threw the second shoe out as well. The people around him were surprised, so he calmly explained, "No matter how expensive that shoe may have been, it no longer has meaning for me. But if someone finds both shoes, perhaps they will fit that person, and perhaps they can still be useful." This story carries a very quiet kind of strength. When a loss cannot be recovered, holding on to the remaining half may only deepen the pain. Sometimes it is wiser to let go early, not because the loss does not matter, but because peace matters too. The eighth story is about two tigers. One tiger lived in a cage. The other lived in the wild. Each believed the other had a better life. The tiger in the cage envied the freedom of the wild. The tiger in the wild envied the safety and food of the cage. So they decided to exchange places. At first, both were happy, but not long afterward, both died. One died from hunger. The other died from sorrow. And maybe this is the deeper lesson. Many people close their eyes to the happiness already in their own lives. Then they spend their days staring at someone else's happiness. But what we already have, maybe exactly what someone else quietly longs for. Life is often unexpected. It does not always unfold in the way we imagine. So after hearing these stories, perhaps we can gently remind ourselves, wherever we are, to speak with care, to watch our comforts, to give with understanding, to keep a hopeful heart, to receive the right moment when it comes, to help others feel valued, to let go of what cannot be restored, and to notice the quiet happiness already near us. Thank you for spending this quiet time here. Until next time, take gentle care of yourself.